I'm doing a book review of Journey to the East by Herman Hesse, a novel. Book review, Journey to the East. I'm reading a little bit from Wikipedia here. It's a short novel by Herman Hesse. I just said that it was published in German in 1932. It came directly after Narcissus and Goldmund. It's written from the point of view of a man called H.H. in the book, who becomes a member of the League, a timeless religious sect whose members include famous fictional and real characters. A branch of the group goes on a pilgrimage to the East in search of ultimate truth. The narrator speaks of traveling through both time and space across geography, imaginary and real. Although at first fun and enlightening, it turns into crisis in a deep mountain gorge called Morbio Inferiore, when Leo, apparently a simple servant, disappears, causing the group to plummet into anxiety and argument. Leo is described as happy, pleasant, handsome. He seems a great deal more than a simple servant to the reader, but nobody in the pilgrimage, including the narrator, seems to realize this, nor does anyone seem to wonder why the group dissolves in dissension and bickering after Leo disappears. Instead, they accuse Leo of taking with him various objects what they see missing, and they blame him for the eventual disintegration of the group and failure of the journey. Years later, the narrator tries to write the story of the journey, even though he has lost contact with the group. He thinks the League no longer exists, but he is unable to put it together in a coherent account. His whole life is sunk into despair and disillusionment since the failure of the one thing which is most important to him. And he has not even sold the violin, which he once offered music to the group during the journey. Finally, at the advice of a friend, he finds the servant Leo. He writes him a long, impassioned letter of grievances, remorse, and entreaty, and posts it to him that night. Next morning, Leo appears at the narrator's home and tells him he has to appear before the high throne to be judged by the officials of the League. Turns out that Leo, the simple servant, is actually president of the League, and seems like Pablo from Hesse Steppenwolf. Crisis in Morbio Inferiore was a test of faith, which the narrator and everyone else flunked rather dismally. H.H. discovers that his aberration and time spent adrift was part of the trial, and is allowed to return to the League if he can pass any new test of faith and obedience. What he chooses in the final denouement is a stroke of Hesse's typical Eastern mysticism at its finest. Okay, well, that was just me reading the plot summary from Wikipedia. I enjoyed this. I thought that the characters, Don Quixote, Puss in Boots, Baudelaire, were interesting, the members of the League. I thought the writing was brisk, crackling, sparkling, and I like the approach of a German writer talking about ideas that seem decidedly Eastern, and I'm always up for reading a Herman Hesse novel where he is talking about these Eastern ideas and exploring spirituality and mysticism.